Welcome, dear listeners. Tonight, let your thoughts drift gently as we take you on a peaceful journey. This is a space for calm, for quiet moments, and for the kind of stories that settle your heart and slow your breath. Make yourself comfortable, close your eyes if you wish, and allow the world to soften around you. Now, let's begin with tonight's story. Today's story is titled Halos Light the Keeper's Flame, an epic 20-episode journey of mystery, magic, and legacy. Ember Nightingale steps into the soft glow of a centuries-old stone chamber, her slender figure silhouetted by the dancing flames of a dozen ivory candles. The air is warm with the faint scent of sandalwood and sea salt, an invitation to leave the bustle of the waking world behind. She turns toward you, her eyes reflecting both kindness and a hint of mischievous curiosity. "Welcome," she whispers, voice low and smooth like a lullaby carried on the ocean breeze. "Tonight, you embark on a journey of tales and mystery, of windswept coasts and the guardians who stand vigil under moonlight. But before our story truly begins, let us prepare mind and body to wander beyond daylight's reach." You settle onto a plush velvet cushion at the center of the room. Parchment scrolls line the walls, each scroll tied with a ribbon of storm gray silk, suggesting secrets waiting in quiet corners. Ember gestures to a small silver bowl at her feet, its surface reflecting the candle light. Within it, wisps of warmed lavender steam curl lazily upward. She dips two delicate fingers into the bowl, offering you a drop of calming oil. As you inhale, the world's edges soften, and the burdens you carried in daylight deadlines, clanging city streets, the endless hum of devices melt away. "Close your eyes," Ember instructs. Feel the weight of your shoulders surrender to the cushion. With each exhale, let go of tension. With each inhale, draw in peace. Breathe in, 2, 3. Hold, and exhale, 1, 2, 3. Her voice guides you through 5 gentle cycles of breath. You become aware of the soft crackle of the candles, as if embers themselves whispered encouragement. Somewhere beyond the chamber, tides whisper secrets against hidden rocks. The hush deepens, you feel both grounded and untethered all at once. Ember rises quietly, footsteps muted against the ancient flagstones. She returns with a slender lantern made of wrought iron and stained glass. Inside, a flickering blue flame dances like liquid moonlight. She places it near you and draws the curtain at the far end of the room, revealing a narrow passage illuminated by the lantern's glow. As we step through, she murmurs, "Remember, every tale begins with a breath, and every journey begins with presence. Take this lantern, it will guide you through restless winds and shifting shadows. Trust its light as you trust your heartbeat." Your fingers close around the lantern's handle. The weight is reassuring, warm against your palm. Ember offers you a soft nod and retreats into shadow. With a steadying breath, you rise and move toward the passage. You follow a corridor carved from dark stone, the lantern's flame reflecting in polished brass sconces that hang empty. The walls are etched with maritime symbols, crashing waves, spirals denoting whirlpools, and intricate depictions of sea creatures, both real and imagined, strange fish with lantern-like appendages. graceful merfolk with scales that shimmer like starlight. The deeper you go, the more the air tastes of brine and old stories. As you walk, Ember's voice echoes from somewhere ahead, like a memory carried across time. Listen for the sea's rhythm. Feel its pulse beneath you. Soon you will meet those who keep its lights alive. The corridor widens into a vaulted hall. Above, arches soar like the ribs of a great sea creature, supporting a dome painted with constellations. At the center stands a grand helm mounted on a pedestal, a captain's wheel carved from driftwood and encrusted with mother of pearl. Surrounding it are opalescent chandeliers shaped like jellyfish, their filaments clasping each other as if in silent conversation. Ember emerges from an archway opposite, now dressed in a cloak of shifting indigo, its hem embroidered with silver threads that trace the path of migratory birds. In her hand, she holds an ancient tome bound in deep blue leather. This, she announces softly, is the chronicle of Halo's light, a record of every keeper, every storm, and every whisper heard on the wind. Within these pages lie the names of those who have braved darkness to ensure that ships find safe harbor. But tonight, we begin not with their deeds, but with your awakening to their world. She opens the book to a blank page. Ink seeps from the spine, forming letters that glow faintly. Episode 1, The Invitation. Symbols swirl around the title before settling into place. Ember turns to you, her gaze steady. To truly enter this tale, she says, you must understand your role not as a passive listener, but as a witness to wonders. You carry the lantern, you hold the memory of this breath. The path ahead will wind through thunder and calm, through grief and joy. But always, you will remember this moment, the first flame in an uncharted dark. There, in the hushed grandeur of the chamber, you feel a soft tremor in the floor like the distant heartbeat of the sea itself. For a moment, the world tilts. You sense whirlwinds of energy stirring beyond the vaulted dome, as if tides of fate shift in anticipation. Ember closes the tome gently, extinguishing its glow. She gathers the scrolls that line the walls, tucking them beneath her arm. Rest here if you must, she offers. But when you are ready, step into the corridor at dawn. A fresh breeze will greet you, carrying the salt and stories of afar. And then, the real story will begin. But dawn feels distant when enveloped in candlelight. You linger in that timeless moment, heart still guided by Ember's breath instructions, mind alight with questions. Who were the keepers of Halo's light? What spirits guard their legacy? And what trials await the bearer of the lantern? Slowly, you settle back onto the cushion. The candles burn lower, their wobbling flames cast dancing silhouettes on the wall, sea serpents weaving between columns, ships sailing without sails, and figures cloaked in seafoam. The chamber hums with latent promise, every shadow alive with possibility. Ember steps forward one last time, her silhouette growing soft at the edges. Rest now, she whispers. Tomorrow, you awaken as a traveler in tales yet untold. She fades, leaving only the lantern's blue flame to linger. You close your eyes, the ritual complete. The world outside may still whirl, but here, time holds its breath. and as the blue flame pulses in gentle rhythm, you drift into a calm that feels like the lull before a great adventure, knowing that episode 2 awaits, beyond the edge of memory and the flicker of sea-lit dreams. At the first break of dawn, you step into the corridor once more, the wrought iron lantern cradled in your palm. The blue flame flickers as though roused by the gentle shift from night to morning, casting dancing reflections on those polished brass sconces that line the walls. Every footfall sends a soft echo through the vaulted passage, and with each step you feel the lingering warmth of last night's ritual settle into your bones. Ember Nightingale's soft voice drifts from somewhere ahead, guiding you toward the promise of salt air and stories etched in stone. The vaulted hall has transformed under the pale light of morning. Where last night's indigo hues held secrets, now a wash of silver and rose reveals intricate carvings along the arch's spirals that mimic the curling of ocean waves, and tiny figures of bird-winged children holding lanterns high. The grand driftwood helm remains on its pedestal, but the mother-of-pearl inlays gleam like scattered pearls in the sunlight. You pause to trace a bird-shaped carving with your fingertip, marveling at how each detail seems both ancient and freshly alive. Ember emerges from beneath one of the arches, her cloak now a lighter shade of cerulean that ripples with hints of dawn's first light. She closes the chronicle of Halo's light with a soft thump, sealing away the blank page you saw yesterday. The tide calls us, she murmurs, her gaze drifting toward a narrow archway at the end of the hall. Follow me, and let the lantern's flame guide you to the first keeper. Beyond the arch, a stone staircase winds downward, each step carved from cliff-borne granite and worn smooth by countless travelers. As you descend, the air grows cooler, carrying the tang of seaweed and driftwood. The lantern's glow flickers against damp moss that clings to the steps, and you catch glimpses of phosphorescent algae clinging to the crevices like tiny stars caught in rock. In the distance, you hear the rhythmic slap of water against stone, a steady heartbeat that quickens your own. At the bottom of the stairs, you emerge onto a rocky ledge overlooking a crescent-shaped cove. The sea is waking gently, pale waves rolling in to kiss the shore with frothy fingers. A light mist drifts across the water, catching the sunlight in crystalline beads, while crouched among the stones is a figure wrapped in a sea-green coat. An elderly man with weather-lined skin and hair like storm clouds turns to face you, his eyes reflecting years of moonlit vigils. He rises slowly, revealing a brass bell hanging at his hip and a lantern of his own clasped firmly in both hands. "I am Jonas, keeper of the Ember Light Station," he says, voice low yet resonant like distant thunder. He bows his head to you and Ember, who steps forward with a gracious nod. Jonas's gaze lingers on your lantern for a heartbeat, then he gestures toward a small stone hut set just above the tide line. "Come. Share tea with me, and I will tell you of the first vigil." Inside the hut, the air is warm and scented with roasted grains and spiced honey. A kettle perches on a low hearth, steam curling upward in lazy spirals. Your footsteps on the flagstone floor are muted by woven rugs dyed in shades of teal and ochre. Jonas guides you to a rough-hewn wooden table where 2 cups await, each etched with the emblem of a lighthouse surrounded by swirling waves. He pours steaming tea that glows with a golden hue infused with herbs said to awaken memories of the sea. Ember sits opposite you, her lantern placed carefully between 2 empty vessels. The chronicle records many wonders, she says softly, but tonight, you will hear the tale of Aisling the First, a sentinel whose name carved this very cliff. Jonas lifts his cup and beckons you to drink. As the warm liquid flows across your tongue, your vision clarifies, and you see behind Jonas's form an image shimmer into view: a woman in simple linen standing atop the cliff, her hair heaped in braids, eyes fixed on the horizon. Jonas's voice grows distant and echoing, as though carried by the wind. In the year when the sea swallowed half the harbor, Aisling stepped into the storm. Alone she raised her lantern high, defying waves that raged like beasts. They say her light cut through the whirlpool of foam, guiding the shattered remnants of a fishing vessel to safe anchorage. You lean forward, spellbound, as Ashton continues. Ember's lantern hums softly, its blue flame brightening as though drawn to the vision. The walls of the hut fade and you stand once more on the cliff's edge, wind whipping your hair, ocean spray stinging your cheeks. You hold the lantern aloft beside Aisling's ghostly form, and the two lights mingle, one sapphire, one molten gold, casting an aura of hope against the storm. Then the scene shifts. The vessel's captain hobbles ashore, clutching a tattered map sealed in wax, his gratitude whispered in prayers to the wind. He places the map in Aisling's hands, instructing her to guard it fiercely, for within its folds lay the secret of an artifact lost to time, a conch shell carved from a single pearl, capable of summoning a guardian from the depths when blown at the proper hour. The vision dissolves, and you find yourselves back inside the hut, cups empty, hearts pounding. Ember's eyes shine with anticipation. The conch remains hidden, she explains, buried in the cave beneath these cliffs, waiting for a new guardian to discover it. Jonas stands, retrieving a lantern adorned with braided rope and driftwood. Come, he says, leading you toward the cove's far side. The tide shelters a hidden entry. You follow him through the mist, stepping across slick stones until you reach a narrow fissure at water's edge. Jonas holds the lantern to the crack, illuminating a passage just wide enough for one to squeeze through. Within lies Aisling's cave, he murmurs. Within lies the conch. But be warned, only the pure of heart may hear its summons. Taking a steadying breath, you duck beneath the rock and enter. The cavern's ceiling arches high above, decorated with stalactites that glint like dripping silver. Your lantern's glow reveals walls carved with runes and scenes of vessels saved, storms abated, and keepers passed. At the very end, half buried in sand and seaweed, rests an ornate chest bound by barnacle-encrusted iron. Jonas steps forward, his bell ringing gently with each movement, and together you lift the lid. Inside lies the conch, creamy white, its spiral carved with tiny symbols depicting waves and winged guardians. You reach out, the shell warm beneath your fingers. Ember places a hand on your shoulder. Once you blow upon it, she whispers, the tide will rise to meet its call, and the sea's guardian shall awaken. You lift the conch to your lips, heart thrumming like the waves outside. In that moment, you understand, this is your first vigil, the threshold of a journey that will test courage, reveal hidden truths, and bind your fate to the pulse of Halo's light. As you prepare to blow, the blue flame in your other hand flares, casting living patterns across the cave walls, a promise that the next chapter of your adventure is about to begin. You stand in the dimly lit cave, lantern in one hand and the pearly conch in the other. The echo of Jonas's bell fades as the murmuring tide presses against the cavern walls. Ember Nightingale's indigo cloak brushes against the damp stone. Your heart hammers, pulsing in time with the blue flame's gentle flicker. All around you, carved runes and scenes of past keepers glimmer in the lantern light, as though watching and waiting. Slowly, you raise the conch to your lips. The spiral carvings tingle under your fingertips, each wave and guardian symbol a promise of power and responsibility. You inhale, tasting salt and moss on your tongue. You exhale sharply, and the conch's rim brushes your lips. Then, in a single breath, you blow. A resonant tone rings out deep, sonorous, and alive with centuries of ocean memory. The sound reverberates through the cavern, shaking loose droplets of water from the stalactites overhead. For a moment, silence holds its breath, then the wave of resonance rolls out through the fissure behind you, chasing Jonas and Ember into shadow. Outside, you hear the sea's response, a distant roar, like the inhalation of the world's deepest lungs, followed by a rising rumble as though the earth itself stirs. The water at the cave entrance churns, phosphorescent algae glowing brighter, tracing the swell of unseen currents. Ember steps forward, eyes wide. "You have called her," she whispers. The guardian of Halo's light awakens. A cool breeze drifts past, stirring the edges of her cloak, carrying salt and the promise of something best. The cavern floor trembles, and a crack of ancient stone echoes behind you. Sand shifts beneath your boots. Then, a column of water rises from the fissure, arcing upward like a watery spire crowned in moonlight. Within that column you glimpse a shape, a vast, serpentine form, pale blue of sea ice and moonbeam, its scales glinting like mother of pearl. Eyes as deep and fathomless as trench dark cavern floors fix on you. Jonas steps forward, staff in hand, lantern raised high. "Stand firm," he calls, voice echoing. "Show the guardian we are worthy." He plants his bell on the sand and begins its slow, deliberate toll, each ring a beacon of courage. The creature's roar is less a sound than a thought, an ancient mind stirring. Water cascades from its body, forming a mist that swirls around you like living smoke. You feel the beat of its pulse in your chest, as though your ribcage is its drum. Ember closes her eyes briefly, chanting words you can almost hear on the back of the conch's resonance. She murmurs, "By breath and flame and tide, we honor your vigil. By salt and stone and heart, we yield our pledge." Her voice weaves through the cavern, threads of calm and clarity piercing the chaotic spray. The blue flame shivers, then steadies. The water serpent lowers its head, nostrils flaring as it studies your group. It moves with graceful deliberation, each scale reflecting fractured beams of lantern light. Then, with astonishing speed, it surges forward, water slapping against the cave walls. Its massive head snaps close enough that you taste brine on your lips. Its eyes burn with silent inquiry, "Are you worthy? Can you bear the burden of the tide?" In that instant, you understand, this is no mere guardian of stone and light, but an elemental spirit that judges the hearts of mortals. It expects proof of courage, compassion, and steadfastness. Ember steps beside you and raises her lantern. Show her, she urges. Let her see your heart. You take a steadying breath, remembering the breathwork ritual in episode 1. You think of every step you've taken since the candlelit welcome, every moment of doubt and resolve, of warmth and fear. You step forward, offering the conch now empty of sound, its spiral end pointing to the serpent's glittering maw. The creature watches, then rears its head back and lets out a single, resonant bellow that shakes the cavern's roof. Water cascades down, forming a sphere of mist around you. Within that sphere, you glimpse visions, Jonas's lifelong vigil by the cove, Ember's devotion to the chronicle, and the countless keepers who stood at their posts through storm and calm. Your own face appears, calm yet determined, framed by the conch's spiral. The sphere dissolves in a shower of droplets. The serpent unfurls, coiling its immense body around the conch chest. With a final, low rumble, it bows its head beneath the chest's iron lid. Jonas steps forward, reverently lifting the container. Within lies a small, glowing orb of pale blue instead of the conch. The artifact has transmuted into the Pearl of Storms, its surface swirling with miniature currents. You have passed, the Guardian's voice sounds within your mind, gentle but powerful. The conch's power flows now in new form. Guard this pearl, bearer, for its light will guide those lost at sea and beckon the protector when needed. Ember lowers her lantern to reveal her hand extended. Jonas places the Pearl of Storms within it. It pulses once, twice, syncing with Ember's heartbeat, then settles with a steady glow. You feel its warmth, a calm assurance that flows through your veins like new blood. The serpent spirals back toward the fissure. Return when the sea trembles, its thought voice whispers, and I will come again. Then, in a final spray of mist and foam, it disappears beneath the waters, leaving only a gentle echo and the rhythmic lapping of the tide. Silence envelopes the cave once more. Ember holds the pearl aloft, its glow lighting every rune on the walls. The Pearl of Storms, she breathes. With it, we can summon the Guardian when ships face the greatest peril. Jonas closes the chest, reattaches the iron latch, and sets the empty shell of the chest aside. You carefully slide the Pearl of Storms into a small pouch at your belt. It feels alive, like a heartbeat against your thigh. Your mind hums with possibilities, summoning the Guardian to calm tempests, lighting distant shores, protecting lives in darkness. Jonas leads you back through the passage, the lantern's glow guiding each step. Ember walks beside you, her cloak's silver threads glinting like dawn's first stars. Outside, the cove is calm once more, the mist has receded, revealing a horizon painted in morning gold. As you ascend the stone staircase, the Sea Guardian's promise still ripples in your spirit. You know that this vigil has bonded you to Halo's light in ways deeper than myth. Each breath, each flame, and each tide has conspired to forge a pact between mortal and elemental. You emerge into the vaulted hall where the chronicle waits. Ember places the Pearl of Storms on the driftwood helm's pedestal, next to the silent brass wheel. The opalescent chandeliers shimmer, as though celebrating your triumph. The next page awaits, Ember says, opening the chronicle to a fresh sheet. Silver ink flows like liquid moonlight, inscribing the words, Episode 3, The Conch's Call and the Awakening. Below, your name is scribed alongside Jonas's and Ember's, marking you as Guardian's bearer. You take a final look at the hall's carved battlements, the bird-winged children, the swirling waves, the Guardian's past. Now, you have your own tale to add, a tale that will echo in lantern-lit chambers and storm-tossed seas for generations to come. With the Pearl of Storms safely stowed and your resolve steeled, you step forward, ready to journey deeper into the mysteries of Halo's light. Episode 4 awaits beyond the next passage, where new challenges, ancient riddles, and the faintest glimmer of prophecy lie in wait. The lantern in your hand flares brighter, and you know, the true adventure has only just begun. Dawn's first light filters through the arched windows of the vaulted hall, gilding the driftwood helm and the Pearl of Storms in soft amber. Ember Nightingale stands beside the chronicle of Halo's light, her cerulean cloak brushing the polished stone floor. Jonas cradles the bell at his hip, its deep bronze surface cool to the touch. You secure the Pearl of Storms in the pouch at your belt, feeling its steady warmth against your side. Today's task is clear: journey to the Crimson Beacon, the next sentinel in Halo's network, to harvest heartfire crystals that will replenish the Pearl's power and reinforce the protective aura upon coastal villages. Ember steps forward, lantern in hand. Its blue flame flickers with anticipation. The Crimson Beacon perches on Malifel Isle, a volcanic spire 6 miles out at sea, she explains. At midday, when the sun strikes its red granite walls, pockets of molten mineral glow with inner fire. From those pockets, we extract heartfire crystals, fragments of the Earth's own pulse. Without them, the Pearl's light will wane against gathering storms. She offers you a map sketched on storm gray silk, the route marked in silver ink. Jonas will pilot our vessel. Be ready for illusions, the sea tests all who sail beneath the beacon. You gather provisions, dried seaweed cakes, warm spiced tea in a clay flask, and a coil of rope while Jonas prepares the sea swallow, a slender craft carved from driftwood and reinforced with whale bone. Its mast bears a tattered sail dyed crimson, echoing the beacon's hue. Together, you lower the dhow into the tide pool behind the hut. The water laps comfortingly at its hull as Ember places her lantern at the bow, its blue flame dancing in the morning breeze. As the sea swallow glides from the cove, the landscape shifts from familiar shoreline to open expanse. Mist clings to the water's surface, swirling like living spirits. Jonas guides the oars with steady strokes, his gaze fixed on a spire of red stone just visible through the haze. The Pearl of Storms trembles within its pouch, as if sensing the heartbeat of the isle. Wind carries a distant hum, a resonance that thrums in your chest. Halfway across the channel, the mist deepens. Lanterns of foam drift past, forming ghostly shapes that wink and vanish in the twilight of morning. A wave rises unnaturally high, then falls away without crashing. Embers of blue bioluminescent plankton flit beneath the hull. You realize these are illusion sea spirits testing your resolve. Ember raises her lantern higher. Focus on your breath, she murmurs, voice steady. The pearl's calm guides you true. You recall the breathing ritual from episode 1 and inhale slowly, 1, 2, 3, exhale, letting go of doubt. The haze parts to reveal a phantom ship drifting beside you, its sails shredded and stained, its deck empty save for shadows. You glimpse spectral figures hauling ropes, their forms translucent. A single lantern swings from the bow, its light dull and flickering. Jonas freezes mid-stroke. Phantoms of lost vessels, Ember explains softly. They show us tragedies of the deep, hoping to ensnare our pity. The spectral lantern droops, and a whale drifts across the waves. Without hesitation, you seize the pearl, lift it, and let its glow wash over the phantom ship. Blue light spreads like oil, dissolving the specters into drifting motes. Their wails fade to sighs, then silence. The pearl pulses, its glow steadying. Jonas resumes rowing. The crimson beacon looms ahead, a towering sentinel of red granite crowned by a gleaming glass lantern room. Its walls are streaked with veins of obsidian and ochre. At its base, black volcanic cliffs plunge into frothing waves. A narrow causeway of basalt stepping stones leads from the sea swallow's mooring to the beacon's iron-bound door. Jonas guides the boat into a tide pool sheltered by a natural rock breakwater. You step onto the stones, the water swirling between your ankles, and approach the beacon's door, its surface pitted by salt and time. Ember reaches into her cloak and draws forth a gilded key. Its bow is shaped like an anchoring hook, its bit carved with spiral runes. She fits it into the lock and turns. The door creaks open, revealing a spiraling staircase of red stone. Warmth drifts up from below, low enough to touch your calves. You begin the ascent, guided by the lantern's sapphire glow. Each step rings hollow, as though echoing across centuries. At the top, the lens chamber is empty, its Fresnel lens cracked and fallen to pieces on the floor. Beneath the shattered glass lies a circular aperture framed by iron. Ember steps forward, pressing her palm to the stone floor. The heart-fire chamber door grinds open, revealing a hidden well carved into the rock. Inside, molten mineral glimmers in a shallow pool like liquid ember. Around its edge, clusters of translucent crystals pulse with inner light, heart-fire crystals, each one alive with tremors. Jonas lights his bell by striking it gently against steel. The tone resonates, stirring the molten pool to life. Ember holds the lantern above the crystals. Their light intensifies, turning from amber to molten gold. She hands you a length of rope and a leather pouch. Lower this basket, she instructs, and collect the crystals. But be mindful, only the purest heart may pluck them without the liquid slag scorching skin. You tie the basket to the rope and lower it until the crystals lightly touch the molten surface. Their heat radiates up the rope, but you hold steady, recalling the calm steadied by the pearl's promise. One by one, you gather half a dozen clusters, careful to let the basket settle gently once full. Suddenly, the tower trembles. Beyond the shattered lens, the sky darkens as storm clouds gather above Malifel Isle. The causeway's water surges, waves crashing against the breaking stones. Jonas shouts above the roar, "We must go." The storm comes fast. Ember snatches the basket and secures it. You pivot toward the staircase, lantern in one hand, basket in the other, and race down. Outside, a bolt of lightning cleaves the sky. You leap onto the stepping stones, the basket swinging at your side. Jonas holds out his free hand, hauling you into the sea swallow. Ember follows, her cloak trailing sparks of mist in the air. As the boat clears the breakwater, the storm erupts, wind shrieking, rain lashing, waves heaving. Jonas mans the oars with grim resolve, fighting the current. Ember opens the basket and lifts a single heart fire crystal above her head. The storm's fury seems to recoil from its light, raindrops scatter in halos, waves shudder and part, forging a narrow path back to the cove. The crystal's glow intensifies, painting the sea in streaks of molten orange. You hold the pearl of storms aloft in your other hand. The two lights converge, one blue, one gold, forming a protective dome that shields the sea swallow. The thunder's crack sounds distant, the rain now a soft patter against the hull. Within this sanctuary, every oar stroke is steady, every breath sure. Moments later, the sea swallow glides into the cove's calm embrace. The storm rages beyond the breakwater, but here, under the beacon's twin lights, you are safe. Jonas guides the boat to the sandy shore. Ember steps out, lantern and heart fire crystals in hand, and thanks the spirits of the tide with a whispered prayer. Back in the vaulted hall, Ember places the basket of crystals beside the pearl of storms on the driftwood helm. The crystals hum with concentric waves of heat and light, infusing the pearl with renewed power. Its glow flares brighter than ever, casting the hall in shifting bands of gold and sapphire. Below it, the names Ember Nightingale, Jonas of Ember Light, and your own appear, sealing your deeds in Halo's eternal record. As the glow settles, Ember turns to you, eyes alight with promise. The beacon stands renewed, its heart fire restored. But darker tides approach, rumors of a hollow storm, one that no flame can pierce. We must journey next to the storm waster reef, where the sea's fury runs deepest. She offers you a new ribbon of storm gray silk. Tie this at home for tomorrow's dawn. Rest now, for the sea's path grows ever more perilous. You gather the ribbon, basket, and pouch, the weight of all you have learned pressing pleasantly against your skin. Outside, the storm's rumble is a distant echo. Within, the pearl of storms pulses with steadfast light, a testament to your courage and compassion. With that, you step from the hall into the quiet night, the two lights of gold and sapphire guiding you home and onward to the trials yet to come. Episode 5 awaits, where the boundaries of heart and tide will be tested under the wrath of the world's hollow storm. Dawn breaks in bruised shades of purple and gray as you step onto the creaking deck of the Sea Swallow. Jonas stands at the oars, his cloak drawn tight against the salty wind, while Ember Nightingale secures the lantern at the bow so its blue flame can pierce the low-hanging mist. You fasten the storm gray ribbon Ember gave you around your wrist, a silent promise to face whatever trials the sea will bring. Today's destination is Storm Waster Reef, a jagged ring of black stone rising like broken teeth from turbulent waters. Legends say that here the hollow storm gathers its fiercest power, and that only one bearing both the pearl of storms and the heart fire crystals can resist its hollow whispers and claim the storm heart. Lumen, a crystalline heart of condensed tempest energy that will anchor the pearl through any fury. The sea swallow cleaves the grey swell, each oar stroke measured and resolute. As you pass the crimson beacon island behind you, its red spire fades into the mist, replaced by open sea. The air grows colder, charged with the scent of ozone and the electric hum of distant thunder. Ember stands beside you, her eyes on the horizon. The hollow storm is not like any weather, she warns. It hungers for doubt. It will speak to your fears and twist your memories. Trust the pearl's calm and the crystal's fire to guide you. Hours pass in tense silence, broken only by the rhythmic splash of oars and the occasional cry of a lone seabird circling overhead. At midday, the sea swallow's hull shudders as you enter a ring of dark water, no swells, but an undercurrent that drags the boat outward, toward a cluster of jagged rocks and towering spires. Below the surface, phosphorescent tendrils swirl like living veins. Jonas grips the rails. "Storm waster reef," he says quietly. There. Across a narrow channel, you glimpse the reef's central spire, a column of basalt some 80 feet tall, crowned by a fractured lantern room that seems empty, save for a dark void where its light once burned. Ember lifts the lantern. The blue flame flares, revealing an intervening beach of slick stone strewn with seaweed and bleached bones. "We must land there," she says, pointing. The cavern entrance lies beneath the lantern room. But beware, the hollow storm will lash out at first sight. You nod, heart pounding. Together, the three of you guide the sea swallow into a shallow cove. Its keel scrapes the stones. Jonas leaps out to steady the boat while you and Ember tie a rope around the mast. You step onto the reef, water rushing around your ankles, and move toward the base of the spire. The sea hushes to an unnatural stillness, no roar, only the distant rumble of thunder and the crackle of charged air. You can feel the storm's presence like a heartbeat beneath the stones, steady yet ominous. Ember places her lantern against the wall, the blue flame steadies the mist, carving a path forward. Jonas hefts a rusted axe to clear seaweed and debris from the cavern's iron gate, its bars twisted and corroded by salt and time. As the gate swings open with a tortured screech, a howling wind explodes in your ears. It pours from the dark tunnel like a living thing, carrying whispers that curl around your mind, doubts, regrets, fears. You hear your own name spoken in the voices of lost loved ones, calling you back, begging you to turn away. Each step into the tunnel feels heavier, as if the air has grown viscous with sorrow. Ember grasps your arm. "Remember your breath," she urges, her own voice a clear bell. "In, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, 3, exhale," her words cut through the whispers, offering a lifeline. You steady yourself, inhaling calm with each breath. The storm's voice recoils, then surges again, mocking. You cannot save them all. You are alone. You will fail. At the tunnel's midpoint, the lantern's glow falters. Shadows writhe at the edge of vision, forming faceless silhouettes that drift across the walls. Jonas holds his bell aloft and strikes it 1, 2, 3 slow rings. Each toll echoes like a heartbeat, pushing back the darkness. Ember raises the pearl of storms and the heart fire crystals before her. The pearl's sapphire glow flares, and the crystals burn with molten gold light. Together, their twin radiance cuts a swath through the gloom, carving out a path straight to the cavern's heart. You press on, guided by the lantern and the dual light. At last you emerge into a vast chamber hewn by sea and storm, its walls slick and black, etched with scars of past tempests. In the center stands the storm heart altar, a natural pedestal of rock shaped like a coiled wave. Atop it rests the storm heart lumen, a pulsing crystal the color of twilight thunder, veins of silver lightning dancing within its core. But the storm is not idle. A vortex of wind and water whirls around the altar, threatening to rip the lumen from its resting place. Lightning arcs from rock to rock, illuminating the chamber with violent flashes. You step forward, holding aloft the pearl and the basket of crystals. Ember chants words from the chronicle. By calm and fire, we bind the storm's desire. By breath and oath, we stand unbroken, unbowed. Her voice merges with the roar of wind. Jonas tolls the bell in slow rhythm, each strike a defiance against chaos. You advance until you stand before the altar. The vortex lashes out, knocking you off balance. You stumble but catch yourself, heart racing. The storm's voice shrieks, "Give in. Release the light. Embrace the void." Your fingers tighten on the pearl's leather pouch and the basket's handle. You draw a deep breath, 1, 2, 3, letting the calm of the pearl flood your chest. Then you thrust the heart fire crystals into the storm's center. The molten gold fire flares, boiling the vortex for an instant, exposing the lumen's cradle. You step into that space, shielded by the crystal's radiance, and touch the lumen's cool surface. It hums, a vibration you feel in your bones. As you lift the storm heart lumen, the storm intensifies, wind howls and lightning flashes so bright it sears your vision. But you hold firm. The lumen's energy pulses through your arm, resonating with the pearl. You feel the two artifacts synchronize, calm merging with fury, order merging with chaos. A silent explosion of light erupts from you, filling the chamber with white radiance that drowns the storm. When the flash fades, the chamber is still. The swirling winds have stilled. The rock walls gleam as though washed by fresh rain. In your hand, the storm heart lumen glows softly, its power humbled by your resolve. Ember steps forward, her eyes shining with pride. Jonas clasps you on the shoulder, relief in his rugged features. Together, you make your way back through the damp tunnel, the lantern's flame and the lumen's light guiding every step. Outside, the reef is bathed in a gentle dawn, no mist, no storm, only the soft lapping of waves against stone. You return to the Sea Swallow and set sail for the Crimson Beacon Cove, where the vaulted hall awaits. Back in the hall, Ember places the lumen beside the Pearl of Storms, the heart fire crystals arrayed like a crown. The three artifacts stand as testament to your courage and unity. Ember opens the chronicle. Silver ink flows, inscribing. A pale dawn light filters through the arched windows of the vaulted hall as Ember Nightingale unfurls a new ribbon of storm gray silk across the driftwood helm. Jonah stands at her side, the bronze bell at his hip silent and expectant. You fasten the ribbon around your wrist. It's not a promise that today you will voyage into the heart of the whispering maelstrom where currents spin like living spirals and the sea sings of lost souls. Your mission, to retrieve the echo shell, an artifact said to capture and soothe the restless memories stirred by the storm's song, anchoring hope in the hearts of mariners who would otherwise be lost to despair. Ember's cerulean cloak flutters as she steps to the sea swallow, lantern in hand. Its blue flame dances in anticipation. The maelstrom lies beyond Storm Waster Reef, she explains, voice steady. A ring of jagged shoals conceals its mouth, and once inside, no ordinary vessel can navigate its spirals. We will require more than oars and wind, we will need the heart of the sea itself. She taps the pearl of storms at your belt. Its calm will guide us through shifting currents. Jonas, prepare the runes. Jonas nods and retrieves a leather-bound case from the cabin. Inside are carved wooden tablets etched with ancient symbols, runes of direction, protection, and resonance. Ember and Jonas work together, painting each rune onto the sea swallow's prow with ink made from crushed heart fire crystals. As they finish, the runes glow faintly, then settle into a soft, steady luminescence. You grip the rail as Jonas sets the sail, its canvas catching the morning breeze. The sea swallow glides from the cove, leaving behind Ember's quiet chant that weaves words of warding into the wind. Outside the sanctuary of the beacon's light, the open sea stretches gray and indifferent. A distant thunder rumbles like a distant heartbeat, urging the boat onward. Hours pass in silence, broken only by the creak of wood and the rhythmic slap of waves. At midday, the silhouette of a circular swirl appears on the horizon, a pale vortex against the slate water. This is the mouth of whispers. The sea swallow's runes flare as you draw near, the currents shift beneath the hull, tugging from every direction. Jonas adjusts the rudder and you steady the lantern. Ember stands at the bow, her cloak whipping as she chants a low melody. As the ship enters the ring of shoals, the water grows eerily still. No breeze stirs the sail. Around you, fragments of wrecked vessels drift, mast sections, broken oars, scrapings of hull. The sea holds its breath. Then, the surface shivers and the maelstrom's voice begins, a chorus of sighs and murmurs, rising and falling like the tide. It speaks in tongues you feel rather than hear, memories of failure, echoes of loved ones lost, hopes that sank beneath the waves. The lantern's blue flame wavers. You clutch the pearl of storms and close your eyes, inhaling calm. 1, 2, 3, hold, exhale. Its steady pulse courses through you, anchoring your heart against the siren song. Ember's voice threads through the whispers, guiding each breath, anchored to the light within. Breathe calm into chaos. Jonas strikes his bell, its tone clear and unwavering. The runes along the prow glow brighter, carving a path through the watery mirror. You follow Ember's lead and begin rowing in communion with Jonas's strokes. The sea swallow moves slowly into the vortex, its hull tracing a spiral path that mirrors the maelstrom's currents rather than fighting them. Deeper you go, until the sky above darkens to gunmetal and the whispers swell into a deafening roar. Tendrils of mist curl around the deck, cold and clammy. Within that mist, shapes flicker, a sailing ship pursued by waves that rise like walls, a child adrift on a piece of wreckage, a lover's embrace dissolving into foam. The maelstrom reaches for your thoughts, tugging at regrets and fears. You press the pearl of storms against your chest. Its glow pulses, a heartbeat that drowns out the maelstrom's clamor. Ember holds the echo shell before her, its spiral form carved from ivory and ringed with silver filigree. The shell hears every voice, she reminds you. To calm the storm, we must give it our own song. She closes her eyes and sings a single note, pure and unwavering, that threads through the maelstrom like a lighthouse beam. You join her, voice quavering at first, then growing firmer as you sing your own vow, to protect the lost, to guide the frightened, to stand unbroken against despair. Jonas tolls the bell with each syllable, a metronome of courage. The whispers falter, then hush, drawn into the shell's spiral coils. From the center of the vortex, water jets upward in a geyser of spinning spray. The sea swallow pauses as the echo shell's silver rings glow. A whisper soft now, almost tender rises above the silence, we remember. Within the mist, shapes coalesce into hundreds of faces, keepers lost to storms, sailors whose ships vanished without trace. One by one, they gaze upon the shell, their expressions shifting from longing to peace. Ember steps forward, holding the shell low. Speak, voice of the sea, she murmurs. Let the echoes rest. She places the shell against the runic prow. The pearl of storms in your hand flares, sending a pulse of sapphire light through the hull. The maelstrom's roar crashes, then recedes like a wave pulling back to reveal new shore. The water calms, the mist clears, and the sea swallow floats on glassy sea. You exhale, heart light. Jonas lowers the bell, its tone silent now. Ember lifts the echo shell and wraps it in a heart fire-streaked cloth. The shell carries the memories of those we honor, she says, eyes shining. Used wisely, its echo can guide souls home. Behind you, storm waster reef looms a distant silhouette against the pale sky. Beyond it, the crimson beacon awaits to house these artifacts. As the rune's glow fades, Ember raises her lantern's blue flame. Set sail for home, she commands gently. Our passage is clear. The sea swallow turns on its keel, sails catching the whisper of a fair breeze. You stand at the stern, pearl of storms and echo shell secure, watching the horizon brighten. Each breath feels like a promise reborn, each heartbeat a testament to hope's endurance. Back in the vaulted hall, Ember places the echo shell beside the pearl of storms and the storm heart lumen on the driftwood helm. The artifacts hum in concert, blue, gold, and silver light weaving a tapestry of calm, fire, and memory. Ember opens the chronicle of Halo's light. Silver ink flows, inscribing. Dawn's light is muted when you step from the vaulted hall, the lingering glow of the Pearl of Storms, the storm heart lumen, and the echo shell fading in the misty air. Ember Nightingale stands on the quay beside the sea swallow, her cloak knotted at the throat, eyes fixed on the mainland across the bay. Jonas readies the oars, his stout form steady against the rocking craft. You fasten the storm gray ribbon around your wrist with quiet resolve. Today you sail for Silver Haven, a bustling coastal town whose lanterns once guided fishermen safely home. Word reached the beacon that an unnatural tempest, darker and colder than any before, now gathers above the harbor. Your task, to combine light, heart fire, and memory to shield Silver Haven's people from the storm's deadly wrath. As the boat glides through glassy water, Ember explains the plan. First, we must awaken the harbor beacon, long dormant, and align its lens with the Pearl of Storms. Then, we will place the storm heart lumen at the lighthouse's apex to temper the storm's fury. Finally, we will sound the echo shell over the town's walls to calm frightened spirits and remind them that they are not alone. She places a hand on your shoulder. Trust in what we have learned. Breathe with the tide. Silver Haven's skyline emerges from the morning haze, a cluster of whitewashed buildings with red tile roofs, guard towers perched on rocky outcrops, and, at its center, the harbor beacon, a squat stone tower crowned by a rusted iron framework where its lens once turned. At its base, fishermen's boats lie beached on a sandy inlet, nets piled high, while townsfolk scurry along the wharf. Jonas pulls alongside the quay. Stay sharp, he warns. The storm's edge is near. As you step onto the planks, a chilly breath rolls across the harbor, a wind that seems to sigh through every rope and rafter, carrying the distant resonance of thunder and the faintest echo of lament. Even the gulls cling to the rooftops, their cries hushed against the gathering gloom. Ember leads you through narrow alleys to the beacon's entrance. The doors hang open, warped by salt and time. Inside, spiraling stairs ascend through darkness, littered with debris, broken lantern glass, rusted gears, and faded paintings of past keepers. She raises her lantern, its blue flame carves out a path upward. You follow Jonas's steady steps, hearts pounding in quiet unison. Midway up, the wind bursts through arrow slits, an icy gale that scatters ash like dust through the stairwell. The Pearl of Storms pulses against your chest, its sapphire light flaring in response. You recall Jonas's words at Storm Waster Reef, only the pure of heart may stand against the storm. You inhale slowly, 1, 2, 3, drawing calm into your core. At the top, you emerge onto a wrought iron platform encircling the empty lantern room. Above, storm clouds swirl in a dizzying vortex, twisting down toward the tower's crown. Below, Silver Haven's rooftops are already drenched by spitting rain. Ember points to the broken lens housing, its inner tracks rusted and frozen. We need to realign this with our light, she says. Jonas unclips a leather satchel and removes 3 polished brass gears, the replacements you retrieved from the Crimson Beacon. With careful strength, he fits them into the lantern's mechanism, oiling the tracks with vessel grease. You turn the hand crank, at first it grinds, then shifts smoothly. Ember offers you the Pearl of Storms. Place it within the housing, she instructs. You set the pearl on a circular pedestal where the lens would rest. Instantly, sapphire light floods the chamber, refracting against the curved walls in 1,000 beams. The storm's howl pauses an inhalation of wind that shakes the tower's stones. Then Ember raises the storm heart lumen above her head, its violet thunder glow resonating with the pearl's blue. Together, she chants, "We temper chaos with calm." She places the lumen atop the housing, where its facets lock into grooves around the pearl. The two artifacts pulse in harmony, weaving a dome of light that stretches outward. Below, in the harbor, fishermen pause in open boats, townsfolk lift their faces to the sky, shields raised against the wind. The storm's black funnel wavers, then slows its descent as the beacon's twin lights converge on its heart. But the hollow storm does not yield so easily. A jagged bolt of lightning splits the sky, striking the tower's metal spire above you. Sparks rain down, and the platform shudders. Jonas yells, "Hold on." Ember grips the railing, her cloak flapping like a dark banner. You hold the echo shell in both hands and lift it to your lips, remembering the song that quieted the maelstrom's whispers. You begin to blow a single clear note that rings above thunder, carried by the beacon's light across the town. The shell's spiral mouth amplifies your breath into a wave of sound that ripples through Silver Haven, echoes of lullabies sung by mothers, prayers whispered by ancestors, laughter of children at play. The note rises in pitch, not screeching but soaring, promising shelter and solidarity. Below, the storm's roar falters. Windows shutters slam closed, and in taverns, patrons press together by hearth fires. The harbor's water stills, waves clinging nearer to the shore than ever before. Then, guided by the beacon's light and the echo shell's song, the townspeople raise lanterns in unison, thousands of points of warmth shining against the dark. On the platform, Ember's face glows with tears of relief as the storm's funnel dissolves into drifting clouds. Lightning still forks across the sky, but its fury is spent. Jonas releases the crank, the gears click into place. You lower the echo shell, its silver filigree dimming to a soft pulse. A quiet peace settles over Silver Haven. Ember's lantern replaces the shell, its blue flame flickers, then steadies like a heartbeat. The Pearl of Storms and the Storm Heart lumen shine side by side, casting a gentle radiance over the deck. You descend the stairs with Ember and Jonas, each step lighter than the last. Outside, townspeople gather at the quay, faces upturned to the beacon's wan light. A chorus of cheers rises as you and your companions step onto the docks. A child hands you a seashell crown woven from rope and seaweed. An old keeper presses a brass token into your palm, a miniature replica of the harbor beacon. Tears sparkle on weathered cheeks as they murmur thanks that tangle in throats like chains broken free. Ember watches with a soft smile. Today, Silver Haven learned that storms may come, she says, but lanterns shine brightest against the dark. Jonas grips your shoulder. Your heart is brave, he declares. May its light guide all who follow. Back in the vaulted hall, the three artifacts stand enthroned on the driftwood helm, the Pearl of Storms, the Storm Heart lumen, and the Echo shell. Ember opens the chronicle of Halo's light, and silver ink flows to inscribe. Dawn's first light barely penetrates the vaulted hall, where the Pearl of Storms, the Stormheart Lumen, and the Echo shell rest upon the driftwood helm like triumphant sentinels. Ember Nightingale stands before you, her cerulean cloak catching the soft glow of the crystals. Jonas of Ember Light holds a fresh ribbon of storm gray silk, its edges embroidered with silver runes. Today, Ember says, voice steady and warm, we sail to the Isle of Shattered Echoes. There we will find the silver song mirror, a fragment of living glass that bears the power to reflect hope into every heart. But its song is fractured, and we must bind its shards before the island's echoes consume us. You tie the ribbon around your wrist, it's not a promise of steadfast resolve. The three of you make your way to the sea swallow, whose hull rides the morning tide with effortless grace. Ember places her lantern at the prow, its blue flame dances like moonlight on water. Jonas fits the echo shell into a padded cradle within the cabin, and you secure the Stormheart Lumen and Pearl of Storms in your leather satchel. The runes on the prow glow faintly, ready to guide you through the island's treacherous shore. The vessel slips from the cove, cutting through mist that clings to the sea like a shroud. Hours pass in contemplative silence, only the whisper of oars and Ember's soft chant of warding. As you draw near the Isle of Shattered Echoes, its silhouette emerges, jagged basalt towers crowned with broken flagstones, each edifice sheared as though by some colossal blade. Between them, tidal pools mirror a sky bruised by gathering clouds. You sense faint vibrations beneath the keel, as though the island itself hums with trapped voices. Jonas navigates a narrow channel between two spires. Beneath the water's surface, phosphorescent algae trace runic patterns that pulse in time with the echo shell's hum. Ember raises the lantern, its flame cuts through the gloom, revealing stepping stone causeways that lead across the pools to a crumbling quay of white stone. Seaweed and driftwood lie piled at odd angles, as if the tides have shifted the very architecture overnight. You and Ember disembark onto the slick stones. A chill wind swoops through the towers, carrying a chorus of echoes, laughter half heard, snippets of conversation, half-remembered songs. Each sound wavers like a reflection in broken glass. These are the island's echoes, Ember explains, voice low. Memories and voices trapped when the great tempest shattered the mirror chamber. They test our hearts by replaying doubts and regrets. Already, you feel a tug at your mind, a whisper of a promise broken long ago, the sting of a lost friendship. Ember grips your arm. Remember your breath, she urges. In, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, 3, exhale. You close your eyes and follow her rhythm. The air stills, and the echoes recede into the shadows. Jonas tolls the bronze bell twice, its clear tone scatters the murmurs like startled birds. Together, you follow a broken pathway toward the island's heart, a collapsed amphitheater of black stone, its stage ringed by shards of fractured mirrors that glitter like ice. In the center stands the mirror chamber, a collapsed dome of glass that once reflected every soul who entered. Now it lies half buried in sand and seaweed, its fragments scattered across mossy platforms and tidal basins. Ember steps onto a raised dais where the largest shard rests, a piece of mirror nearly 2 feet high, its edges jagged but polished smooth. She holds the echo shell aloft, its silver filigree glows. "We must draw out the echoes," she says. "Use the pearl to soothe the wind, the crystals to ward the shards, and the echo shell to capture the voices." You place the pearl of storms on a stone pedestal carved with spiral runes. Its sapphire light flares, sending a pulse of calm through the amphitheater. The wind falters, the echoes quiet to a low murmur. Ember and Jonas step among the shards, arranging heart fire crystals in clusters around 3 major fragments. The crystals burn with molten gold light, forging protective barriers that prevent the glass from lashing at your mind. Ember turns to you, eyes alight with determination. "Now, you must speak your truth into the silver song mirror." She gestures to the largest shard. "Look into it and name the story you carry, your greatest regret, your fiercest hope. Only then will the mirror bind your words and begin to heal." You approach the shard, its surface reflecting a distorted version of yourself. The wind stirs and the echoes swirl into shapes, your own face as a child, laughing in sunlight, then, the moment you left home to chase this quest, abandoning someone you loved. Your heart clenches. Taking a steady breath, 1, 2, 3, you speak aloud, "I regret leaving my sister's side when the storm took her laughter. But I carry hope that I can bring light not only to distant shores but back to her heart." The shard shivers. Silver lines spiderweb across its face, converging on your reflection. The mirror emits a gentle note that resonates in your chest like a lullaby. Echoes of laughter and tears rise around you, merging into a single harmonious chord. Next, Ember steps to a second shard. She closes her eyes and remembers the moment she almost gave up the chronicle, believing its secrets too heavy a burden. She whispers her confession, and the glass ripples, sealing her vow to preserve the stories of Halo's keepers. Jonas kneels before the third fragment, his regret at failing a keeper he tried to save decades ago. He lifts his chin and speaks his truth, "I failed to hear his final message, and for that I will carry his silence until it finds its voice." The shard glows, and a soft echo of the keeper's long-lost words rings through the amphitheater. As each of you speaks, the shards align themselves upright, forming a curved wall of living glass. Their edges glow where magic weaves through them. Ember places her hand on the base of the largest shard. Together, these form the silver song mirror. "We must bring it home." Jonas gathers the shards into padded crates, Ember seals them with rune-etched bands, and you lift the echo shell one last time. A final pulse of silver light flows from the mirror wall into the shell, capturing the island's echoes now tempered by truth and hope. The amphitheater falls silent, the wind at last still. You return to the sea swallow with the mirror fragments secured against the mast. Jonas rows you back through the glassy pools, Ember guiding you with her lantern. Beyond Stormwaster Reef, the dawn sky clears to pale rose. Back in the vaulted hall, Ember places the reassembled silver song mirror upon a carved pedestal beside the other artifacts. The Pearl of Storms, Stormheart Lumen, Echo Shell, and now the silver song mirror pulse in unison, blue, gold, silver, and pale white light curling around each other like ribbons of dawn. Ember opens the chronicle of Halo's light. Silver ink dances onto the fresh page, inscribing. A sharp wind stirs the lanterns in the vaulted hall, causing the flames to flicker and bend toward the easternmost arch. Beyond that arch lies a corridor seldom walked, one veiled in mist and silence. The four great artifacts, the Pearl of Storms, the Storm Heart Lumen, the Echo Shell, and the Silver Song Mirror, now rest together atop the driftwood helm, humming with quiet power. But they pulse restlessly, as though sensing that one piece remains missing, one final key to unlock the full potential of Halo's light. Ember Nightingale stands at the helm with the chronicle of Halo's light open before her, wind brushing silver strands of her hair across her brow. "There's one more place we must go," she says solemnly. Beyond the known waters lies the veil of hollow glass, a spectral inlet where time fractures and memories dissolve. Within it sleeps the last keeper of Halo, the one whose light was never extinguished, yet was never returned. If we find her lantern, her light will complete the circle. Jonas of Ember Light clasps the straps of the satchel across your back, ensuring the artifacts are secure. "The veil isn't a place you sail to, it finds you," he mutters. "It drifts like fog and only appears when the bearer is ready." He hands you a silver compass, its needle spinning until it rests pointing not north, but slightly east of any known path. You and your companions board the Sea Swallow once more, this time with no map, no stars, only the compass and the whisper of fate. The sea is unnaturally still as you leave Silver Haven behind. The sail sags in the calm air, but Ember's lantern flame burns blue and steady. The echo shell hums in its cradle. You breathe with the rhythm of the sea in, 2, 3, exhale, and let the silence guide you. Hours pass, or perhaps days. Time slips strangely here. The sky fades to a dull silver, and the horizon folds inward like glass bending beneath heat. Then, a shadow appears ahead, a crystalline wall stretching from sea to sky, shimmering with ghostly reflections. You've reached the veil of hollow glass. The sea swallow slows as it brushes the edge of the wall. The lantern flame flickers, blue turns to violet, then nearly snuffs out. Ember grips her staff. "Once we pass through, you must not speak unless spoken to," she warns. The veil speaks in riddles, and answering falsely can trap a soul forever. Jonas steadies the helm, and you cross the threshold. The world on the other side is not the world you knew. A great sea of mist unfolds, with floating shards of broken memories suspended mid-air like islands. Reflections hang where there are no mirrors. A child's laughter echoes beside you, your own, long ago. An old woman's lullaby hums from beneath the waves, your mother's voice, lost to storm. The path forms from memory, winding like a silver ribbon across still water. You follow the trail into the mist. Each step calls forth images, a shipwreck you once feared, a dream you abandoned, a face you never said goodbye to. The echo shell at your side begins to hum louder, as if it aches to gather the scattered echoes. Ember places the silver song mirror beside it. The mirror glows faintly and then absorbs the reflections that would otherwise overwhelm you. Suddenly, a bell rings, not Jonas's, but a far older one. You turn to see a distant lantern swaying atop a leaning spire of glass. A silhouette moves behind it, slim, cloaked, and glowing faintly with silver flame. The keeper, Ember, breathes. She waits. You cross the bridge of reflected starlight until you reach the spire. The wind picks up now, hot and cold in alternating waves. The pearl of storms thrums. The figure turns. Her face is both ancient and young. Her cloak is woven of night, embroidered with salt and wind. Her voice is not heard but felt, like a dream remembered at the edge of waking. Why do you disturb the silence? Who among you remembers the light? Jonas kneels, placing the storm heart lumen at the base of the spire. We come to restore what was broken, he says. Ember steps forward, holding the echo shell. To carry your voice back to the world. And you hold out the pearl of storms, feeling it vibrate with resonance. The keeper gazes at the pearl and the lumen, her form flickering. One light remains. One lantern still burns, buried beneath the mirror's song. She lifts a hand and beckons you forward. At her feet lies a fractured lantern, its housing cracked, the glass stained with time, but its wick still alight with a silvery flame that does not flicker. She touches your hand and places the lantern within it. The moment you take it, a surge of emotion floods your chest: solitude, patience, unyielding hope. This is not just a light, it is the keeper's heart light, a flame that has endured the weight of eternity. The wind stills. The veil's reflections freeze. One by one, they shimmer and dissolve, the floating shards falling into the sea like rain. The mists part. The veil recedes. You stand once more on the sea swallow, now drifting in calm waters beneath a real sky. The lantern in your hand glows with a light that is both yours and hers. Ember nods. You've brought her back. Back in the vaulted hall, you mount the heart light lantern on the central pedestal, between the pearl, lumen, shell, and mirror. The 5 artifacts begin to sing not in notes, but in pulses: light, heat, memory, reflection, and presence. Together, they form the complete seal of Halo's light. Ember opens the chronicle once more, her hand steady. Night settles over Halo's vaulted hall like velvet draped across the sea. The 5 artifacts: the Pearl of Storms, the Storm Heart Lumen, the Echo Shell, the Silver Song Mirror, and the Heart Light Lantern rest in harmony upon the driftwood helm. Their glow pulses in unison, lighting the dome above with spirals of gold, blue, silver, and white. Yet even as their radiance spreads across the walls, a new symbol begins to etch itself into the air, a 6th flame, faint and flickering, drifting down like a falling star. You watch as Ember Nightingale approaches it, her cloak trailing along the stone like the night tide. Jonas of Ember Light stands beside her, eyes narrowed, Bell at his side silent. It's begun, Ember murmurs. The convergence is near. You step closer. In the center of the chamber, the light sharpens into a pattern of constellation stars etched in movement, forming a path, the star path, long forgotten, yet whispered of in the earliest volumes of the Chronicle. Ember turns to you. We have reawakened the light of Halo, but its glow calls to another realm, a mirror sea, hidden beyond the boundary of our tides. There, a flame flickers in isolation. If it is not joined with ours, both worlds may dim forever. Jonas steps forward and places a hand on the helm. We've lit the lanterns, he says. Now we must see who lights them from the other side. Ember nods solemnly. To open the way, we must walk the star path, a journey beyond time and tide into the veiled deep, where memories are not only recalled, but rewritten. Without hesitation, the sea swallow is prepared again. This time, its hull is marked with 6 glowing runes, one for each artifact. The sail is embroidered with a fresh sigil, a flame nested within twin waves, the new emblem of the accord you are about to forge. Ember places the heart light lantern at the bow, its silver fire stretching out into the windless dark. You step aboard with the satchel slung across your back. Within it, the 5 sacred artifacts rest, humming like a choir. Ember joins you, her hand warm on your shoulder. This may be the last voyage, she says. Not because it ends the story, but because it opens the next. The sea swallow glides silently across a sea as black as ink, the sky above unfamiliar. There are no clouds, no moon, only stars, millions of them, swirling slowly in synchronized orbit, forming a tunnel of light above the water. This is the star path, the celestial passage that connects realms divided long ago by a rift in the sea. As the ship drifts into the spiral, the water below begins to shimmer. You see reflections, not of your face, but of another you, a version who never left home, who never followed the lantern's call. You look to Ember, and she nods. The other world sees us. And now, we must see it. Suddenly, the stars blink, and your ship drifts through. You awaken on a mirror sea, where the sky is beneath you and the stars hang like lanterns beneath glass. The sea swallow floats upside down and right side up at once. Time is suspended. Jonas calls out, his voice echoing as though stretched through eons. There. In the distance, another ship appears. But it is not a reflection. It is real. The vessel approaches slowly. Its hull is sleek and silver, its sails woven of crystal-threaded light. A figure stands at its helm, cloaked, genderless, and glowing faintly with flame. In their hand, a lantern. In their other hand, a mirror fragment. The ships drift parallel. Ember raises the echo shell and speaks into the wind. We come in light, in memory, in fire, and in truth. Do you answer? The figure nods and places the mirror shard against their lantern. Light explodes, not blinding, but clarifying. You see images. A world like yours, yet darker. Storms without end. Keepers forgotten, their light swallowed by silence. But also, one spark, preserved across generations. A single story told over and over in the dark, waiting for the flame to return. The figure speaks without moving their mouth. The accord must be sealed. Flame to flame. Light to light. Memory to memory. You step forward, holding out the pearl of storms. The figure places their hand over yours. The pearl glows, then splits, its light flowing into two paths, one into your world, one into theirs. You raise the storm heart lumen, and they mirror you. The echo shell vibrates. The silver song mirror flickers. The heart light lantern flares. At the center of the sea swallow, a flame rises not from any artifact, but from the space between you. This is the accord flame. You and the figure each place your lanterns within the fire. A burst of color floods the sky, gold, violet, blue, white, and silver, then a new hue, starfire, the color of convergence. Across both worlds, a pulse travels, a wave that rekindles long dead lights, that stirs keepers from sleep, that causes towers once crumbled to rise again. A whisper follows the light. All is remembered. All is restored. The tides are one. The ships drift apart slowly, the bond sealed. The flame does not die, it remains, a sixth artifact now blazing within the helm of Halo. You return through the star path, now blazing behind you. Back in the hall, the six artifacts rest in harmony. Above them glows the accord flame, ever burning, never wavering. Ember opens the chronicle and inscribes in silver ink. In the aftermath of the star path accord, the great hall of Halo stands radiant. Six artifacts now hum in harmonic unity: the pearl of storms, the storm heart lumen, the echo shell, the silver song mirror, the heart light lantern, and the newly born accord flame. Their joined light casts dancing patterns across the stone walls, forming shifting mosaics that tell your journey, from the boughs of ember light, to the eye of the whispering maelstrom, to the mirrored soul of another world. But this dawn carries unease. The flame atop the helm burns brighter, too bright. The silver song mirror flickers. The pearl of storms pulses erratically, casting tremors through the air. Ember Nightingale watches in stillness, her brow furrowed. "It's not over," she murmurs. Jonas steps forward, weathered hands gripping his bell. A light so powerful can draw watchers. And watchers do not always guard. Ember opens the chronicle. A blank page turns not by wind, but by will. On it, faint letters begin to carve themselves without her quill: return. Beneath the tides, the oldest tower stirs. The seal weakens. She closes the book with gravity. Beneath the sea lies the tower of the deep, signal a keep lost to floods and memory. It was once the first lighthouse, not of light, but of listening. It did not shine. It heard. It was abandoned when it began hearing voices that should not speak. Jonas growls under his breath. The watchers. You say nothing, but your hand moves to the heart light lantern. Its silver flame flickers like a warning. The six artifacts do not hum, they vibrate, as if calling downward. You must go beneath. The sea swallow, once again reinforced with crystal-threaded canvas and rune-bound hulls, is readied. But this time, Ember binds a seventh rune to its keel, the rune of descent. A spiral etched in black stone, it sinks your path not forward, but downward. You depart at twilight. The sea is unnaturally still as you move past Storm Waster Reef, past the maelstrom's hushed cradle, to waters so deep they do not churn, they press. The moon's reflection stretches across the surface like a road, then bends inward. The sea swallow tilts, its sails catching no wind, and begins to descend. You are sailing downward. Light fades. Sound thins. Time distorts. Ember holds the lantern. Jonas tolls the bell once. You light the accord flame. It ignites with a pulse that parts the deep. And there it is, the tower beneath the tides. Carved of obsidian and coral, its spires loom in the depths like the bones of a giant. Runes spiral across its stones, broken and rearranged by tidal shifts. You drift toward a central aperture, an old sea gate marked with a sigil, an eye closed by chains. Jonas speaks through the stillness. This was built by the first keepers. They listened to the waves, the winds, the stars. But one day, the sea began whispering something back. You dock at a broken pillar and descend into the flooded courtyard. You don't need to breathe here. The artifacts protect you. Ember walks at your side. Her voice is low and steady. We are not here to awaken. We are here to remember. Within the tower, you pass halls carved with scenes of lightless oceans, creatures of ink, lanterns submerged, and keepers whose eyes are filled not with fire, but with void. You reach a chamber, the core of listening. In its center stands a cracked crystal basin, surrounded by concentric rings of coral and gold. In the basin, a small lantern, its flame inverted, dark and flickering like the reflection of a memory. Ember nods. This is the original signal. The first echo. Jonas warns, if we touch it unprepared, it will call back. You kneel before the basin. You take the echo shell and place it near. You take the silver song mirror and tilt it above the basin. You place the heart light lantern to your right. The accord flame to your left. The pearl of storms at your chest. The storm heart lumen behind you. The room hums. The water around you begins to vibrate, not with motion, but with awareness. And then, it speaks. Not with words but with memory. You see. The day the tower fell. The keepers who refused to leave. The signal that echoed back from the dark. And the beings who heard it. Not gods. Not monsters. But witnesses. Watchers. They did not come to destroy. They came to wait. And now they have waited long enough. The light is full again, the sea thinks at you. We remember the torch. We remember the fall. Do you remember us? You do. You remember what Ember taught you: breathe, hold, exhale. You remember Jonas's toll. You remember your vow, to carry light where no one else dares. You lift the inverted flame and light it from the accord flame. For a heartbeat, the world splits. Above you, Halo's tower burns bright. Below you, the watchers open their eyes. And they do not strike. They nod. The first signal is balanced. Light and shadow, both heard. Ember grips your hand. We have bridged the final vigil. You rise. The sea swallow lifts. You break the surface as dawn crests the eastern sea. The waters are still. And the watchers are no longer alone. Back in the vaulted hall, the 7 flames burn. Pearl of storms, calm. Storm heart lumen, courage. Echo shell, memory. Silver song mirror, reflection. Heart light lantern, endurance. Accord flame, unity. Inverted signal, balance. Ember opens the chronicle of Halo's light. The 7 flames burn steady in the vaulted hall, 7 lights that once shimmered in separation now glowing in unison. The pearl of storms, the storm heart lumen, the echo shell, the silver song mirror, the heart light lantern, the accord flame, and the newly awakened inverted signal cast 7 distinct shadows against the chamber's curved stone walls. Each flicker tells a story. But not all stories have been heard. Ember Nightingale stands beside the driftwood helm, the chronicle of Halo's light open to a blank page that refuses to inscribe itself. Her brow is furrowed. Jonas, silent, walks the perimeter of the room, bell unmoving. You sit beneath the silvery chandelier, your hand brushing the edge of the silver song mirror, sensing something just beyond reach, like a memory waiting to be remembered. Then, the chamber dims. Not dark. Not danger. But a quiet pulling, as if the lanterns themselves have turned inward. The chronicle's blank page shimmers. And a new line appears. To complete the arc, the bearer must enter the archive of the drowned stars. Where the sky was once sea, and memory is shelved beyond forgetting. Ember whispers, it's not a place. It's a threshold. Jonas nods slowly. A tide you don't sail across. You fall through it. You feel the pull in your chest. Not like the pearl. Not like the mirror. This is not emotion, this is remembrance that does not belong to you, yet needs you to carry it. The lanterns align atop the helm. The runes along the chamber floor glow, forming a spiral gate, a mirror of the star path, but cast downward, not outward. Ember steps beside you and offers her hand. Shall we fall together? You take it. The light surrounds you. You awaken suspended in weightless darkness, where the stars hang below your feet and above your head, as though the heavens have folded inward. You are standing in a chamber that isn't a chamber, a celestial library, half drowned, half dreamed. Tall obsidian shelves rise like seaweed from beneath the surface of memory, each shelf humming with starlight trapped in vials, scrolls, and bottles. Some glow softly. Others flicker violently. Some are entirely dark. Jonas materializes beside you, his bell glowing like a moon. Ember walks between shelves, her hands brushing the spines of books whose titles shift even as you try to read them. The Last Shoreline. The Memory That Hid Itself. The Light That Waited Too Long. Then, you see it, a book with your name on the spine. You pull it free. It is bound in seafoam leather, etched with silver kelp and constellations. You open it and within, no words. Only images. The moment you blew the conch at Ember Light Cove. The phantom ship in the maelstrom. The touch of the watcher's hand. The mirror shard lighting in your palm. The flame shared with the keeper across worlds. And then images you do not remember. A girl watching you from the shore, her eyes filled with grief. A lantern dropped and never found. A gate unopened beneath the vault of light. These are echoes not yet lived, or perhaps forgotten lives that belong to the larger story of Halo. Ember leans in. The archive is speaking to you. Not of what you have done but of what has been done through you. Then you see her. A keeper not of this age, not of any record. She is made of stars and water, standing at a desk surrounded by orbs of memory. She holds one vial to the light, then looks at you and whispers. You carry the last index. The ledger of the 7 lights. Will you seal it, or open it forever? You step forward and ask, what would it mean to seal it? Her voice echoes gently, to seal the lights is to preserve the peace but end the learning. To open them is to risk the storm again but allow the world to change. Jonas stands behind you. I sealed it once. I regret it still. Ember nods. The chronicle began as a record. But it must become a conversation. The keeper of the archive turns to you fully. She holds out a blank volume. Not empty. Ready. You take the book. And suddenly the chamber brightens not with flame, but with a flood of memory. All the keepers who came before. All the lights they lit. The mistakes they made. The hope they guarded. You hear them not as echoes, but as voices beside you. They sing. The archive hums. The light of the 7 artifacts converges in your hands. You raise the volume. You speak aloud. Let the chronicle remain open. Let every bearer add their page. Let light not be guarded, but shared. And with that, you fall again. Upward. You land in the vaulted hall. The chandelier above flares with starlight. The chronicle of Halo's light opens on its own. Silver ink flows. The vaulted hall is no longer silent. Not in the way of footsteps or whispers, but with the resonance a living current running through every lantern, every page, every stone. The 7 artifacts glow as one, the pearl of storms pulses in sync with the sea, the storm-heart lumen hums with internal fire, the echo shell vibrates with memories both shared and private, the silver song mirror reflects stories not yet told, the heart light lantern steadies with the strength of undying vigil, the accord flame flickers with harmony from across the veil, and the inverted signal crackles faintly with the breath of watchers still unseen. And now, at the center of the helm, rests a new object. A blank lantern. Its housing is silver, polished to a mirror-like sheen, but its core is empty, no wick, no flame, no color. It was not placed there by you or Ember. It was formed, born of the convergence, molded by the chronicle's wool. Jonas stands to your left, arms crossed. It's the unbound flame, he says quietly. A light that hasn't been lit. A future still unwritten. Ember runs her hand over its edge. This is the final task. Not to end the story, but to begin the next one. A new beacon must rise not to guide ships through storms, but to connect lands that forgot they ever shared light. You feel a gravity behind her words. Not dread, responsibility. The chronicle of Halo's light opens again, the silver ink sketching not a title, but a sigil, a spiral wrapped in flame, encircled by 7 stars. To light the unbound flame, Ember reads, one must walk the singing strand, where every footstep becomes a verse. The song that lights the beacon must come from within. You ask, what is the singing strand? Jonas nods toward the east window, now glowing brighter than the rest. A shoreline that only appears to those who remember the story from beginning to now. It shifts with the tide of memory. It doesn't test your strength, it asks who you are. You gather the 7 artifacts once more, wrapping them in silken cloths dyed with runes that change color when touched. The blank lantern is tied securely to your satchel strap. The sea swallow awaits, but its hull is different now. The figurehead carved into its bow is no longer a flame, nor a star but an open hand. You board. Ember and Jonas take their places at your side, but their voices are softer. They know, this step is yours alone. The sea swallow sails toward an unseen shore. Hours pass. The sky above clears to a still blue, but the water below is golden, as though the sun's light runs through it like blood. In the distance, a shoreline curves like a crescent moon. Sand that gleams like starlight. Stones that sing as the tide brushes them. You've arrived at the singing strand. As you step ashore, the air changes. Not temperature but tone. Every footstep on the shimmering sand makes a sound, not crunch, not splash but music. Soft, choral notes when you move slowly. Low, pulsing echoes when you hesitate. A rising harmony when you run. You realize, the strand is responding to your story. Each motion, each breath, is not just walking, it is composing. Ember stays at the shore, lantern held in both hands. Jonas kneels beside the sea swallow, head bowed. "This is your vigil," he says. "And your song." You walk forward, letting the rhythm build. You remove each artifact one by one, laying them along the tide line. The Pearl of Storms hums in a minor key, steady and soft. The storm heart lumen chimes with every heartbeat. The echo shell releases a breath of melody, your mother's lullaby, a whisper of your first promise, the farewell of the keeper beneath the waves. The silver song mirror reflects the sunlight in pulses of tone harp strings in the breeze. The heart light lantern is silent, but its warmth adds depth like a bass note beneath the melody. The accord flame flickers in time with the wind, weaving threads of two worlds into one chord. The inverted signal emits a deep hum, ancient, strange, not dissonant, but older than any other sound here. You kneel. The blank lantern rests in your palm. Still silent. Still unlit. You understand now, to light it, you must contribute a sound that none of the artifacts can provide. Your own voice. And not a chant, or an incantation, but something honest. You breathe deeply. You begin to hum not a melody you know, but one that grows from you. From your journey. You hum the fear you felt in the maelstrom. The awe of touching the storm heart lumen. The heartbreak of the memories in the silver song mirror. The silence of the watchers. The triumph of the accord flame. The patience of the heart light. And then above all you hum the choice. Not to carry the light alone, but to share it. The lantern responds. A flicker. Then a note. Then a flame, colorless, but radiant. It rises within the unbound lantern like a sunrise not yet assigned a hue. As it ignites, every artifact joins in harmony. The sand beneath you glows. The tide sings. The sky ripples. You lift the lantern high. A column of light shoots upward, not as a signal to those lost at sea, but as a beacon for those ready to tell their story. You return to the sea swallow. Ember weeps quietly. Jonas places his hand over yours. You didn't just complete the chronicle, he says. You set it free. Back in the vaulted hall, the unbound lantern is placed at the helm's heart. It does not burn blue, gold, silver, or violet. It burns every color and none. Ember opens the chronicle. This time, the ink writes itself. Your name is inscribed in the center. But around it spiral blank lines. Lines meant for others. Lines meant for the stories not yet told. The hall grows quiet once more, not in emptiness, but in invitation. The flame is lit. And now, across all shores, all seas, all silent towers, new voices begin to hum. The vaulted hall has changed. It is no longer simply a place of light and remembrance, it is alive. Each of the 7 artifacts vibrates in quiet harmony with the unbound lantern, now burning at the helm's center. Its flame, pale and prismatic, shifts in color not from fuel, but from presence. Every time someone steps into the hall, the flame reacts, echoing the emotions, the memories, the truths they carry. But now it flickers with something else. Yearning. You stand with Ember Nightingale beside the helm, your palm hovering near the chronicle. Its pages, once heavy and ancient, now feel like wind fluttering with potential. Jonas of Ember Light stands at the northern arch, watching the sea beyond the stained glass windows. "Something's stirring," he says. "A pull I haven't felt since the tower first rose." Ember nods. The beacon is unbound. Now the light wants to return. You glance at her, confused. "Return where?" She turns her gaze to the flame. "To where it was first given. To where you first chose to carry it." You understand. The circle must be completed. Not because the journey demands an ending, but because a story, to stay true, must always return to where it began, with new eyes, a fuller heart, and something left behind to inspire what comes next. Ember opens the chronicle, and again, silver ink writes itself. The circle of returning is not a path. It is a moment lived twice. The bearer must walk it with all they have become without forgetting who they were. Jonas speaks low and steady. "Then there's only one place left to go. Back to the cove of Ember Light. The sea swallow is ready by dawn. The hull, now etched with constellations, gleams under the early sun. You bring nothing but the artifacts, each wrapped in its own cloth of storm gray silk, and the chronicle itself. Ember and Jonas join you, but say little. You all feel the weight of memory, not as a burden, but as a silent companion. The voyage is shorter than before. Or maybe your perception has changed. The waters that once roared with mystery are calm. The sky, once shifting, is clear and endless. As you near the cove, you see the familiar outlines, the cliffs with their jagged edge, the boulders where you once stood, the bakery that served you tea before your first step. And rising from the center of the cove, the first lantern. It was never there before, but it has always been there. A tower made of glass and coral, coiled in spiraling runes. It gleams in the morning light. You recognize its structure, part beacon, part archive, part flame. All of Halo's journey condensed into a single shape. You disembark and approach the base. The air is still. Jonas tolls his bell once. The doors open. Inside, you find a circular chamber, bare but for a single pedestal. Upon it rests a lantern, unlit, cracked, forgotten. Ember places the Pearl of Storms beside it. You follow with the Storm Heart lumen. Then the Echo Shell. The silver song mirror. The heart light lantern. The accord flame. The inverted signal. And finally, you place the unbound lantern in the center. As they touch, the tower sings. Not with sound, but with remembered light. Visions flood the walls, not illusions, but truths. You see every step you took, every echo you heard, every flame you protected, and all the voices who walked beside you, Ember, Jonas, the Watchers, the children of Silver Haven, the keepers of the veil, the mirrored soul across the star path. Then a final voice speaks, soft and familiar. Your own. I carried the light because someone had to. I returned it because now, many can. A pulse flows outward. Not destructive. Not radiant. Equalizing. The 7 artifacts dissolve into ribbons of light that rise through the tower's center. They spiral around the unbound lantern, which absorbs them not as fuel, but as invitation. It burns brighter, brighter still, and then a hush. The light settles, and in its place stands a new flame, the Keeper's flame. This light is not meant to be carried alone. It is not guarded by one name. It is shared. Back in the vaulted hall, the chronicle turns its own final page. And the title writes itself. Episode 14, The Circle of Returning and the Keeper's Choice. Beneath it, your name appears one last time. Then Ember's. Then Jonas's. Then dozens more. Names of people whose voices you once heard, whose hands you once touched, whose stories you now understand were never truly separate from yours. You step away from the helm. The chronicle closes. And Ember looks at you with the softest smile. You've become more than a bearer, she says. Jonas bows slightly. You're a lantern yourself now. You leave the hall. But you don't walk alone. Because now, every person who steps into Halo's reach, every soul who finds a flame in darkness, every voice that dares to hum a song into the wind, they are part of your story. They are part of the light. And that is what Halo has always been. Not a place. Not a book. Not a flame. But a choice. To keep moving forward. To return with what you've learned. And to pass it on. The vaulted hall of Halo is still once more. Not with the silence of absence, but the hush of completion. The chronicle rests closed upon the helm. The 7 artifacts merged and transmuted no longer stand as separate beacons, but as part of a new and singular flame, the Keeper's flame, steady and warm at the chamber's heart. Its glow reaches every corner of the stonework like roots beneath the sea, like threads weaving through the great loom of memory. And yet, there is a new door. You had never noticed it before, not because it was hidden, but because it wasn't there. Not until now. It is shaped like an arch, carved from driftwood and shell stone, pulsing with faint starlight. No hinges. No knob. No inscription. Just a breeze that leaks through its edges like a breath held too long. Ember Nightingale stands at your side, gaze fixed on that unfamiliar threshold. The chronicle is complete, she says softly, but the story is not finished. Jonas of Ember Light approaches, his bell held tight at his waist. I've seen that arch in my dreams, he mutters. Every time I walked away from the sea, it was there, waiting. Ember turns to you. This is no longer our path to lead. It belongs to you. And to those who come after. You step forward. The keeper's flame flickers in your chest, not with urgency, but readiness. The door responds to your presence. It does not open. It dissolves. And beyond it lies not a hall, not a ship, not even a tower, but a world. You step through and into the coastal vale of Kinrot, a place once lost in the whispers of old maps and salt-soaked scrolls. The sky is painted in cascading layers of lavender and gold. Great cliffs rise like frozen waves on either side, and below them scatter 1,000 lights, not stars, but lanterns, suspended between tall stones like constellations made manifest on the land. People are walking. Families. Elders. Travelers with soot on their boots and children carrying memory orbs strung on twine. Their cloaks are stitched with patterns from other lands, and on each of their backs hangs a lantern not identical, but similar. Reflections of your own, echoing the keeper's flame. One stops as you pass, a young girl with silver freckles and a cloak made of dusk-colored wool. She points to your lantern. You were the one who walked the singing strand, she says. You blink. How do you know that? She smiles. Because we sang your path. Others begin to gather, words spreading like wind through grass. Their faces hold recognition, not of your name but of your journey. These are the lantern-born, those who have felt the call of Halo in the quiet between storms. Each of them has heard the flames whisper. Each of them has chosen to answer. A boy steps forward, holding a bound book. Its cover is unfinished wood, its pages half filled with sketches and fragments. I found this, he says, when I slept beneath the tower of glass root trees. It told me to find the vaulted hall. But I never knew where to go. You kneel and open the chronicle, placing it beside his book. The pages glow, and the ink moves on its own, welcoming the new volume, binding it not beneath, but beside the original. A second branch of the story. A continuation. Behind you, Ember watches with tears in her eyes. This is what the flame wanted. Not to be kept, but to be carried. You rise. And the people of Kinrot step forward with their own volumes, their own pages, and soon the field is covered with books like stars across a midnight sea. Days pass in moments. You travel among them, listening, learning. There's the old stonemason who once tended a forgotten tower and wrote poems to the sea in secret. The dancer whose lantern shines purple and pulses when she tells the tale of losing her brother to a wave and hearing his voice again through the echo shell. The twins who crafted a beacon from glass and lullabies, whose flame never flickers when they sing in harmony. Each of them is a keeper in their own right. Each of them is writing the new chronicle not alone, but together. On the final night before you return to the hall, a bonfire is lit in the center of the vale. It is not fed by wood but by offerings, folded pages, etched stones, voice recordings, songs sung into mirrors. All cast into the fire not to destroy them, but to pass them forward. You stand with Jonas and Ember beneath the rising light. Is this the end? You ask. Jonas chuckles. No. This is the middle. A good story never ends. Ember places her hand on your shoulder. The chronicle is no longer a book. It's a path. As dawn begins to paint the sky, you lift your lantern and every flame around you answers. You return to the vaulted hall. It is not empty. It is waiting. You place a new object upon the helm. Not a flame. Not a shell. But a quill. And beside it, a shelf filled with blank books, bound in cloth, bone, and starlight. The keeper's flame hums. And the chronicle opens again. Silver ink writes the title. Your name is the first. But beneath it, countless others begin to bloom, each one a page begun, a voice rising, a journey still forming. You smile. And for the first time, you do not turn the page. You hand the chronicle to someone else. And say, now it's your turn. The lanterns were never meant to burn alone. That truth, once buried deep in the stone bones of Halo's oldest halls, now echoes through every corridor, every coastal outpost, every soul who has touched the chronicle's pages. The light that once guided ships in the dark has become something more, a bond, not between sea and land, but between stories and the people who dare to live them. And so it is that a new tradition begins. The Festival of First Light. You stand once more at the center of the vaulted hall. The keeper's flame dances above the helm, its prismatic glow spinning soft halos onto the domed ceiling overhead. But the hall is no longer quiet, no longer still. There are voices, laughter, footsteps, music pouring in from the arches, weaving in like threads of melody. All around, the lantern-born gather. Children clutching freshly lit lanterns giggle and race between the pillars. Elders, some who remember the day the first storm split the sky, sit in circles telling tales beside the rune-lit hearth. Ember Nightingale approaches, her cloak exchanged for a robe of wind-blue silk, its edges stitched with tiny constellations. A woven pendant hangs at her neck, the emblem of Halo unbound, a spiral, a flame, and a single open eye. She smiles. It's begun. Just like we hoped. Jonas stands behind her, his ever-present bell now hung ceremonially from a staff carved from driftwood and gold leaf. They came, he says with a grin. From the northern crags, the drowned south, even the shadowed isles beyond the whispering maelstrom. They all came. And they did. Keepers and bearers from across every region touched by the light have gathered, each bringing with them a fragment of story, a melody, a memory, a message, a flame. The vaulted hall has become a living archive. Every stone sings. Every page turns. At midday, the great lantern is lowered from the dome. It rests gently upon the central dais, cradled by a new vessel not of metal or glass, but a living root structure grown from the soil of the singing strand. It pulses with energy, as though breathing. It's time. You step forward, the chronicle cradled in your arms. Around you, the crowd stills. Lanterns are dimmed, flames drawn down to soft embers. Only the keeper's flame remains. You open the book and speak. There was once a time when light meant survival. Then a time when it meant duty. And now, it means connection. We do not carry the flame to keep others from the dark. We carry it so they remember their own light. Today, we pass it not to one, but to all. And let it choose. You set the chronicle at the base of the lantern. Then silence. The flame shivers and leaps. It does not choose the eldest. It does not choose the strongest. It flows toward a young boy barely 8 clutching a lantern shaped like a spiral seashell. His eyes go wide. The flame kisses the wick. And suddenly, his lantern bursts into color, a spectrum of story. He gasps. Then laughs. Then lifts it high. And the others follow. Dozens. Hundreds. Lanterns igniting one by one, not all at once, but in rhythm, like a song passed from voice to voice. Each light a story. Each light chosen. Not because it was perfect, but because it was ready. That night, Halo glows like it never has before. The coastal cliffs are ringed with floating lights. Boats drift silently, each bearing a single lantern on its mast. Music dances in the wind, flutes carved from coral, drums strung with tied wire, and voices singing old words in new harmonies. You sit beside Ember and Jonas beneath the star-filled dome. The chronicle rests open beside you. Blank pages flutter. Jonas offers you a flask of storm tea. You realize what's happened. He says, eyes twinkling. You sip. They didn't just receive the story. They became part of it. Ember watches the horizon, where lanterns now flow toward distant lands. And they'll carry it farther than we ever could. A soft voice breaks through the quiet behind you. The boy from earlier. He walks up, lantern held close to his chest. I don't know why the flame picked me, he says. You kneel beside him. You don't have to know. You just have to walk with it. He smiles, eyes bright. Then I will. And he turns and begins to write his own story, in his own words, with his own light. Back inside, the chronicle stirs one last time tonight. Its page inscribes itself in silver ink. Beneath it, the boy's name appears not instead of yours, but beside it. Because the story is no longer about one keeper. It is about many. And somewhere, beyond even Halo's reach, someone sits in the dark, waiting. Not for rescue, but for a lantern and a voice to arrive and say, "It's your turn now." The vaulted hall of Halo thrums with a new energy, unlike any before. The lanterns blaze with a collective flame, brighter and more complex, each hue a melody, each flicker a whispered story. No longer confined to solitary light bearers, the flame pulses with the breath of countless souls across distant shores. The chronicle of Halo's light lies open on the driftwood helm, its pages alive with shimmering script, ever growing, never static. Ember Nightingale stands beside you, her eyes reflecting the infinite tapestry of voices now interwoven into the beacon's light. Jonas of Ember Light keeps vigil at the northern arch, his bell silent but his presence unwavering. You feel the weight and the promise of your journey, knowing the flame has become a living entity beyond the sum of its parts. Suddenly, a ripple runs through the air, soft, almost imperceptible at first. Then, with a swell like the rising sea, the lanterns flare. The new light dances across the hall's walls, casting moving shadows that resemble figures walking among the stones. The 7 artifacts pulse in synchrony, but the unbound lantern at the center shines with a blinding brilliance, opening a portal of shifting colors. From that portal emerge figures, translucent but vivid keepers, bearers, voices from lands and times unknown. Some bear lanterns shaped like ancient seashells, others like carved wood and glass, and still others that pulse with light without form. They come forward, their presence merging with the light, their voices adding threads to the song of the flame. Ember turns to you, voice urgent yet serene. The rising tide of voices has come. They are those who have heard the call, who have found the flame in their own ways. Each one adds their story, their light, their memory to the chronicle. This is the moment when the beacon truly becomes a lighthouse, not just for ships, but for souls. Jonas nods. But with so many voices, the flame risks chaos as much as harmony. It is the bearer's task to listen, to weave, to guide. You step forward, feeling the weight of the chronicle in your hands. The pages flutter wildly, then settle into a rhythm. You raise your voice, calling out an invitation. Let every voice be heard. Let every light shine. Together, we build a beacon that no storm can silence. The rising tide responds with a chorus of light and sound. You see glimpses of their stories, a keeper who tended a lantern through endless night, a child who sang lullabies to the sea, a fisherman who lost his way but found new shores. Each story folds into the next, a seamless mosaic. The unbound lantern absorbs their energies, its flame growing steadier, warmer. Around you, the vaulted hall becomes a gathering place, a nexus of worlds and memories. As night falls, you feel the first stirrings of a new chapter, not just written, but lived. The rising tide will not only preserve the light, it will carry it forward, beyond the known seas, into the uncharted. The chronicle closes gently, the ink shimmering like liquid stars. Your name remains on its pages, but so do thousands more. The story is no longer yours alone. It is a tide, a song, a flame, and it will never fade. Would you like me to continue with episode 18? The vaulted hall's light dims as the rising tide of voices settles into a gentle chorus, weaving stories into a tapestry shimmering with the hues of dawn and dusk. Yet beyond the sanctuary of Halo, where the waters deepen and currents grow cold, a shadow stirs a veil that has long concealed secrets beneath its fog. Ember Nightingale steps forward, her cloak darkened with sea spray, eyes steeled with resolve. Our light has grown strong, but there remain places untouched by its warmth, places where the past is forgotten, and watchers remain silent. Jonas of Emberlight nods solemnly. The veil of forgotten shores lies beyond the reach of the rising tide. Its mists hide more than land, they hide memories lost to time and souls waiting for remembrance. The chronicle of Halo's light opens once more, its pages glowing faintly with an invitation. Beyond the known seas, beyond the rising tide, the forgotten shores await the flame's guide. Silent watchers stand in shadow and stone, till the light of the keeper calls them home. You tighten your grip on the keeper's flame, feeling the weight of unspoken stories pressing against your heart. The 7 artifacts pulse in quiet anticipation, their combined light a beacon cutting through the thickening fog of mystery. The sea swallow is readied with runes of protection and passage. As you set sail, the waters grow colder, the sky heavy with clouds that seem to swallow sound itself. The veil descends, a living mist curling around the vessel like fingers reaching from the depths. Within the fog, shapes shift, ancient ships wrecked on jagged rocks, silhouettes of watchers bound by unseen chains, echoes of voices barely remembered. The lantern's flames flicker, but your resolve does not waver. You follow Ember's steady chant and Jonas's rhythmic bell tolls, each sound a thread unraveling the veil's grasp. At the heart of the forgotten shores, you find the silent watchers, stone figures carved by unknown hands, standing sentinel along a ruined lighthouse half swallowed by the sea. Their eyes are hollow, yet their presence is heavy with sorrow and vigilance. Ember steps forward, holding the echo shell aloft. She sings a melody ancient and haunting that calls to the watcher's buried memories. The silver song mirror reflects the shards of forgotten light, weaving them into a tapestry of remembrance. One by one, the watchers stir their stone skin cracking to reveal flickers of flame and pulse beneath. They awaken, not as guardians of fear, but as keepers of stories lost to the tides. You offer the hard light lantern, and its enduring warmth flows through the watchers, restoring their purpose and anchoring them to the light of the keeper's flame. The veil lifts, revealing shores bathed in the first true light in centuries. The silent watchers become guides, leading you to hidden archives of memories and tales that enrich the chronicle beyond any prior understanding. Back aboard the Sea Swallow, the journey home begins with a new purpose, not merely to carry the light, but to heal the fractures between past and present, silence and song. In the vaulted hall, the chronicle's pages shimmer as new chapters write themselves. The vaulted hall hums with quiet anticipation as the latest pages of the chronicle settle into place, their silver script glowing faintly in the dim light. Outside, beyond the protective walls of Halo, the sea darkens with looming clouds, an ominous storm gathering its might, threatening to undo all that has been kindled. Ember Nightingale stands at the helm, her eyes sharp and steady. Jonas of Emberlight readies his bell, the bronze glinting coldly in the lantern light. You feel the weight of responsibility settle upon your shoulders once more, the tide of stories and lives depending on the strength of the flame you carry. The artifacts pulse urgently, the pearl of storm's calming blue, the storm heart lumen's fierce gold, the echo shell's resonant silver, the silver song mirror's reflective shimmer, the heart light. Lantern's enduring glow, the accord flame's unifying blaze, and the inverted signal's balancing hue. Together, they form a constellation of power, a beacon against the gathering tempest. The Sea Swallow waits, its sails taut with the stiffening wind. The runes along its hull flicker, alive with protective magic. You and your companions prepare to sail into the heart of the storm, not merely to weather its fury but to confront the darkness threatening the very soul of Halo's light. As the ship cuts through swelling waves, the sky roars with thunder, and lightning fractures the heavens in jagged arcs. The sea rises like a living beast, lashing and twisting, testing your resolve. Ember's voice rises above the storm's howl, chanting ancient words that bind the winds and calm the tides. Jonas strikes his bell in steady rhythm, anchoring the crew's spirit. Amid the chaos, the flame you carry burns fiercely, a radiant core of hope and courage. The echo shell captures the storm's roar, transforming it into a song of resilience that fills the hearts of all aboard. The silver song mirror reflects the lightning, fracturing it into harmless rainbows that dance upon the waves. Together, you navigate the swirling tempest, each artifact playing its part in a symphony of light and sound. The storm rages, but the flame endures. At the storm's center, you face the shadow tempest, a dark maelstrom of despair and forgotten fears, threatening to snuff out Halo's light forever. With unwavering heart, you raise the Keeper's flame, channeling every story, every memory, every hope gathered on your journey. The storm falters, the shadows recede, and the skies clear to reveal a dawn brighter than any before. The sea calms, and the Sea Swallow glides homeward, bearing the light that refuses to be extinguished. Back in the vaulted hall, the chronicle records this triumph, its pages glowing with the promise of new beginnings. Your name shines among the heroes who dared to face the darkness and won. The journey continues, ever onward, ever brighter. The vaulted hall of Halo stands resplendent under a dome of stars, each lantern casting a golden glow that mingles with the soft flicker of the Keeper's flame burning eternally at the helm's center. The 7 artifacts, once separate, now united, pulse with harmonious light, a beacon not just for ships or souls, but for all who seek hope in the darkness. Ember Nightingale, Jonas of Emberlight, and you gather among the gathered lantern-born, faces illuminated with quiet joy and profound reverence. The chronicle of Halo's light lies open, its pages filled with countless stories, tales of courage, loss, triumph, and the unyielding spirit that carried the flame through every storm. Tonight is the festival of the eternal flame, a celebration not of endings, but of continuance. The flame that once burned for a single keeper now burns in every heart it touches, passed down through generations, through stories told and songs sung across oceans and time. Ember steps forward, her voice clear and steady as she addresses the assembly. From the first spark kindled in a lone lantern to the boundless light shared among many, the journey has been ours together. The flame is not a possession but a promise to carry light through darkness, to remember those who came before, and to inspire those yet to come. Jonas rings his bell softly, each toll a heartbeat resonating with the assembled crowd. You raise the keeper's flame high, its prismatic glow reflecting in every eye. Around you, lanterns ignite one by one until the vaulted hall shines with a constellation of living light. The chronicle's pages turn themselves, and silver ink flows, inscribing the final chapter. Your name, alongside Ember's, Jonas's, and the countless lantern-born, is etched into history not as the end, but as the beginning of a legacy that will burn forever. The light stretches beyond the hall, reaching into the night, into the seas, into the hearts of all who hear its call. And as the eternal flame rises, you know this is not farewell. It is the promise of forever. The story goes on. Title: Halo's Light, The Keeper's Flame, an epic 20-episode journey of mystery, magic, and legacy. Description: Embark on an unforgettable adventure through the mystical world of Halo's Light, a 20-episode saga weaving magic, mystery, and the enduring legacy of the Keeper's Flame. From ancient lighthouses guarding treacherous seas to spectral realms beyond the veil, follow the journey of the bearer who carries the eternal light to guide lost souls and challenge shadowed storms. Witness daring voyages into the whispering maelstrom, the Isle of Shattered Echoes, and the Vale of Forgotten Shores. Experience the festival of first light, the unbinding of the beacon, and the forging of the star path accord where worlds converge and stories intertwine. More than just a tale of light versus darkness, Halo's Light explores the power of memory, the strength of unity, and the courage it takes to keep hope alive against the tides of despair. Join the Lantern-born. Carry the flame. Become part of the legacy. The light has been kindled. The story continues.